Welcome back to Vibius PHP framework screencast. In this episode we'll be talking more about models and about database class. First off, we have to create a root to operate all of our views and stuff that we will be showing here. Let's name it database, and it will be doing function. There we go, we can test it. Open our browser, test. Something's wrong. Oh, we have a database root here. Okay, there we go, test. If you want to create a model to get some data from database, we have to create a file under app/models. So let's create a test model.php. Now we have to create a class with the same name as the file, and it has to be under namespace of Vibius app models. Let's create a class test model, and let's give it some basic properties. For example, private table, my table. And we also need a construct, the construct function, which will be using our database class from core to connect to our database server using the PDO. Let's do so. New Vibius core database, and let's make this global to this class database db, and we have to connect using the database class. What database class does, it creates PDO object with the credentials specified in our settings config file. Here we have all the settings for connecting to the database. Going back to our model file, we have a construct which defines a new connection to the database, and now we need a function that we will be using to get some data. For example, public function get all, and it will be returning all data, just as an example. And in our roots file, what we have to do, we have to instantiate our model, new Vibius app models test model. This will create a new instance of our model file and its class, so we can access the getAll function. Let's display the data returned from the function using model getAll, because getAll is defined in our model, so we are now available to use it here. Going back to our browser, when we refresh, we get all data returned from our model. Now we can get some real data from database, but we will need a first database and its table. So let's create a new table. Log into phpMyAdmin. Create a new database. For example, test. Create. We have our database created, and create a table, and the table defined in our model was my table. So let's create my table. Number of columns 2. We will need an ID, which will be an auto increment, and we will also need a name, which will be a varchar. Save it. So now database is already as test with table my table. Now we have to edit the configuration file in app settings config.php to connect to the test database. So we have to change the database name to test because our database has name test. What we have to do now, we have to create a query to get some data from database, and that's where we will be using our database class, which uses the PDO extension. First off, we have to prepare the query. We will be doing select all from our table, which is this table, because we have the table here, and we have to execute this query. And our function getAll has to return the results in query fetch all. Basically what happens is when we go to database root, our model is instantiated and getData is called, and it will return our results. We could do an echo just to see what data it has returned. Let's go to our browser again and check the data. Unexpected object operator. We have a mistake in our model. We are missing an arrow here. Refresh, and we have an empty array because we have not inserted any anything into our table. Let's insert some name. For example, Matej. Insert. And when we will refresh, we have ID Matej and everything works perfectly. That's basically everything you need to know about models. We could create another function, public function get by name. We will be passing a name variable into this function, and we will repeat the same process all over again, but we will be adding a name variable to our query. Select from this table, and we will continue where name equals name. And when executing, we will add a parameter of name, which will have value of name. And we will again return all the results here. Going back to our root file, we could change the getAll to get by name, and we will be getting by name, and the name will be the name we have inserted, which is Matej. Unexpected double arrow operator. Okay, we have a mistake here again. We need an array over here. Array, and end it here. Delete this, we don't need this. Okay, everything should be working now. There we go. Only Matej is displayed. We can insert another result into our database to see if it's working again. Test name, go, refresh. Only Matej is displayed because the name is matched here. If we will change the function called here in our root file to get all, we will have all results displayed. Okay, that's everything we need to know about models, and we can start using them in our application. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode of Screencast.